I was just thinking when you get started with transformation. So first of all, is there anything called a transformational leader? I know I have put it on my LinkedIn, but that's a question. Can one person really transform the organization? Let's go through that, right? So when you talk about transformation, the first thing as a leader one would start with is build the awareness, right? Is the need. Do people understand the need for transformation? And that's the why part, right? Now that need you can establish using fear. You can see if you don't do it, you're going to be irrelevant. That's a transformation done from position of fear. Or if it's done at the right time, you could say transformation is for more possibilities that you can explore. That's a transformation from position of possibilities. That's your need part of it. So where you build awareness in the organization, in your team, saying this is why we need, and people kind of try to resonate with that. Then second is need is fine, but do we want it? It's like exercise. We all know we need it, but do we want to do it? I mean, I know some people can talk a lot about it in this room. I'll not take the names, but I'm not one of those. Okay, and that want has to come. I mean, just having a need and awareness is one thing. That's the hunger. That's the hunger element in the organization that we want to transform. We have understood. We are aware. Now we want to transform. That hunger needs to be created. That's where you say, hey, is leader able to create that aspirational energy in the team to want something? That's the hunger part of it, right? Now, third question is, you're aware what's needed. You want it also. The question is, are you ready for it? Can we? Because it starts with self-doubt. I mean, anything that you have not done in the past, a normal human tendency is to question, can I, can we? So moving that self-doubt to self-belief, that's a big part of transformational leadership. Where you say that people start believing, you move the question to an answer, can we becomes we can. That's your self-belief part, right? Where you're prepared to unlearn some things, learn new things, then you move to that self-belief, right? And once you have this need, hunger, it's like, we need it, we want it, and we can. Then you say we commit. Then comes a commitment to it. Because all of these are fine. And after that, there's a long walk. And a long walk, that needs a lot of resilience also. Because a lot of things will not go as per the plan. And then you have to make sure as a leader that you are really putting all of this together. And in each of this step, it generates a lot of different emotions. And it's not wrong to have those emotions. You feel very confused. You find it very chaotic. You question a lot. Then you move to curiosity, which is more healthy. Then you start feeling nice about what the future can hold. But then suddenly you fall in the way. Then you want to get up again. You want somebody to hold up again, all of that, right? So I think transformational leadership is about anchoring all of these energies towards progressive mindset. To me, that's transformational leadership. And when all of these progressive energies come together, get aligned over the time, you see identity of organization changes, not just the state. That's where I said the definition is inaccurate. So I think a correct definition would be, because all of these emotions are so internal, I think an ideal or correct definition would be, which I will not even debate because I think that's a correct definition, is it's really an internal evolution. It's an internal evolution. It's not something forced on you, because transformation is a very conscious choice that you make. It's a conscious choice to change. So it's an internal evolution where an individual or group of individuals move from identity A to identity B, not just the state. And when you're talking about changing an identity of an organization, identity of people, one person cannot do it.
Absolutely.
So it's not one leader who's going to change the identity of the organization. It's really all the people who come together and they change the identity of the organization. Leader really just makes sure that he or she is around in this whole journey, that people are feeling safe to try new things. You're really unblocking things which come in the way, and just make people believe that they can, and they always do. Results are absolutely outcome of everything, right? So you don't focus on results. You really focus on anything and everything before results, so you can really impact results, right? When I think about this three elements: roles, responsibilities, and relationships, I would say responsibilities. Uh, because roles, you can really put the names and titles and all of that, but if you have done a good job on putting down the responsibilities within the team, and if they're complete, you haven't missed anything important, then that's like step one you have done. And second, when the right people playing those responsibilities and when they're truthful to their roles, when they have taken trust of the organization seriously in making sure that they are taking care of all the responsibilities, it's very unlikely that things will go wrong. So I would really say responsibilities is to me it's a keyword, and I'm sure people have different views on that. But I think it's an element where an element of completeness, that you're not missing something important because you have really defined all the responsibilities properly, and it's an element of trust and people taking seriously what they're supposed to deliver. I would personally believe responsibilities play a big role.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and relationships attached to responsibilities?
I mean, everything else, right? I mean, look, if I'm responsible for something, on my sense, list of responsibilities, and if I need to figure out, hey, look, what am I dependent on, tasks or people, getting tactical about it, I will make sure that they happen because I'm taking my responsibilities seriously.
Okay.
Right? They would come into play. Also, when I'm very serious about my responsibilities, I'll make sure that the other people who are supposed to play different roles, role part,
Right.
I'll make sure that that's also in check because I'm taking my responsibilities seriously. But that's my way of looking at it. I could have picked up something else also. I've talked about it in some other session. Um, I really have a problem when somebody says I haven't failed for last 5 years. I mean, I really think this person has failed big time because there's something wrong here. Something just that you haven't really tried anything new. Maybe or maybe I'm just talking to a superhuman. But I haven't come across one yet. So clearly I mean, failure are part of it. And if you're not failing, then it means you're not trying something new. My personal failure would be something that I learned from. It's more deeper. It's not more about it's about taking a step or not. It really gets into certain element of leadership and personal behavior, right? I mean, this is when I was doing my own startup, and I think I've told this story as I said earlier. Is we had started doing a new chip, a new product, and it kept on going and going and going, and we had built good friendship and relationships within the team, and we said, that's fine. Let's just keep buying more and more time. We knew we had failed. We knew we had failed maybe 6 or 9 months into it.
Okay.
But we dragged it another 6 or 9 months, more than that maybe. And I think not acknowledging that failure on the way, right? Not being honest about it. That's a big learning. That's a big learning for me. So it's not just about failing. It's also about acknowledging that something has not worked. Uh, I didn't have courage to accept it at that time. I was like, how would it look like, and how will my investors think about it? Is that the right thing to do or not, and all of that. But honestly, that was the only right thing to do, looking back. So my big learning is it's not just about failing at something, but having a courage, like again Roland talked about, accepting that some things did not work out. So my big learning has been really that, and a quick course correction would have helped us a lot, right? Prior to that, when we failed at something in the same venture about 8 years prior to this example that I talked about, we did a pretty good job. We had started with a product which was very focused only on the industrial, and then we went quite broad because we figured industrial was not responding too fast, and it's time to be agile and change the course correction. We did that, but for some reason, 8 years into it, I think we had built this false sense of pride and superiority in the leadership team, saying we cannot go wrong, and we did not want to accept it. That's a big learning. I I'll tell you the things which which have inspired me, right? First, let's start with that, correct? And then I'll tell you where I've felt things going downhill. Things I think work really well from a leader's perspective is focus on these few elements, right? And then you would say, hey, look, as a leader, you're doing a pretty decent job, literally, right? First is, are you enabling your people or are you disabling your people? When you say enabling people, it's not just about the tools and the resources, but it's about that whole cultural element also, right? Do your people feel enabled in their job, what they're supposed to do? Once they're enabled, second is, do they feel empowered? Do they feel empowered to take the right decisions for the organization, for themselves, for their family, for their team? In general, you see a very healthy mindset there, right? When the person is using the empowerment properly. So second is, are you empowering your people? So it's like you have enabled, you have empowered, but then do you have the right level of energies in this team? The third, I would say, energize your team. Keep your energy levels of the team. Try to keep it high. You can't be unauthentic about doing it. When things go wrong, you just have to feel bad along with your team. Let's just get real about it, correct? When your team is feeling bad and you want to party, and it doesn't work like that. When you're feeling bad, just acknowledge that emotion, correct? But you have to empathize and then energize, right? So your team is high in energy, and then in this whole journey, as I said earlier, when we talked about what's transformation and dealing with all those emotions, you have to empathize with your people. They are all trying their best. Assume good intent, that people want to do good, correct? Can you provide them the right kind of environment? And none of these four E's you can do if there's no fifth E in place, and that's your level of engagement. Are you emotionally engaged with your team? Are you emotionally engaged in your job? A lot of people would say, do not bring emotions, and I find it very difficult. It's all about people. It's not about robots. It's not about machines. It's not about AI algorithms. We're talking about people, and we are driven by emotions. We are driven by fear. We are driven by sense of achievement. We are driven by recognition. We are driven by feeling good for providing for our family. We're all driven by certain emotions. So as a leader, you have to be emotionally engaged, emotionally invested. That I would say, in my sense, a decent leader would do and should do, if I can use word should. So the problem, what leaders should not do, is when your intent and your actions are not aligned. Your intent, and you're very vocal about your intent, about your transformation, and you want to do this and that, but then your actions are absolutely other way. And sometimes leaders just fall for it unknowingly. Small things, right? How you come across with your team, giving an honest feedback to the teams, saying the right things, not feel good things, but the right things to the team, standing up for your team when it's required. And if you don't do that, you speak a lot about courage and all of that. You vocalize your intent so much, and there comes a moment when you have to stand up for your team and you're nowhere. Don't do that. Don't do that. I mean, you can really hurt people by that, because in leadership role, you really touch people's lives, and you should take it seriously. Yeah.
Okay.
I really think a major event like COVID definitely brought empathy to forefront. Literally, it brought it. I think a lot of people became more aware that there's a finiteness to life and finiteness to things that we do, and how do we make sure that we are more connected to people in more meaningful way. Clearly, that has come up, right? Second, I think there's more and more awareness of the external events which are going to impact us, be it political, be it technology movements, be it demographic of certain countries or supply chain constraints and all of that. So I think there's more awareness and there's more agility in the way organizations are wanting to respond, as you see, because we talk so much about digital transformation, at least in the industries that we work in. We see that more and more our customers want to talk about it. That's an element of transformational leadership, because these people are understanding, as I said, this awareness and the want part, right? And they're looking for the partners to work with. So I would say the empathy part has definitely come into the forefront of transformational leadership, about connecting with people in more meaningful way. Second, the agility is definitely improving because organizations have become aware that the technology change is a lot more rapid than what they thought, right? And especially again, thanks to uh, COVID, it really moved overall technology adoption in certain ways. So we see that people are responding to that also in much faster way. Third, I think organizations are spending a lot of time and energy now as at a leadership level to bring in more and more inclusivity also now. And that's a very healthy change. And I don't mean inclusivity in terms of gender or non-gender diversity part of it. I really mean inclusivity in terms of the thoughts and ideas. You see more and more organizations talking about how do I bring more ideas to the table? How do I bring more ideas to the mix when I do the decision making? That's a very healthy sign of transformational leadership. And that's why you see there's so much innovation in terms of be it business models, be it the way products are delivered or services are delivered. We see that's happening. So I think that's again a very healthy sign, which is really about inclusivity. And risk taking is kind of going up even in larger organizations. Slowly you see that they have understood, if they don't pull up their socks, if they don't challenge their own ways of doing things like our own. I mean, look at accelerator and initiatives. It's a clear acknowledgement that, hey, look, we have to do things different here, right? So that element is also into play. I mean, that's how I would say overall transformational leadership. There's a lot more empathy, there's a lot more agility, there's a lot more inclusivity, and fourth is overall there's a very healthy risk taking happening even in large organizations now. Yeah. You know what I mean, when you're working with people, correct? Why do we come to work? I mean, why do we do anything? I think a very deep rooted emotion is that you want to be respected, that you want to be recognized. I mean, when you do something for your family, your kids, your friends, and at work, you want to be recognized, you want to be respected. And as a leader, if you're not respecting your people for what they are, for the ideas that they bring in, I mean, those it's not about saying it's a bad idea or a good idea, but the great efforts and intent that somebody brought idea on the table. I mean, that's the respect every idea deserves, correct? That's the basis of a very honest inclusivity. This there's no debate on that. That's very simple. The moment you take that away, slowly this whole idea of people wanting to contribute, taking organization to the next level will go away because people will not feel respected. Correct. So respect is kind of a foundation of everything. I mean, we all want to be respected and recognized for everything that we do here. So it's absolutely, most important aspect, I would say, for you to do anything. You're doing transformation or not, you're driving certain conscious change or not. Even when things are happening, a lot of people who are running the things the way the things are running today, and they should be respected for what they're bringing to the table. I really like the way we are challenging our ways of doing things, and specifically talking about, let's say, accelerator as a concept, as a platform, as an idea, right? It's clearly saying that we want to build an identity of an organization which is all about open systems, right? So far, Siemens is known for products and systems which are very close. You don't have any APIs, you can't see anything out of it, and you're totally dependent. There's no way anybody can add any value on top of our products today unless they are opened up. So clearly that transformation that Accelerator is trying to drive, I'm really liking that. Of course, there's a lot of force being put behind that, the way we want to move forward. And it's just looking quite positive, I would say. I'm quite happy looking at that part. Local organization, talking about us here in Advanta, India. Over last 4 years, as you know, our vision has been about being value creators of choice by focusing on 4 virtues. That's being collaborative, competent, agile, and innovative, right? I mean, I clearly see that needle is moving, right? Needle has moved in certain areas and more than others, right? Like innovation, definitely needle has moved. Again, a learning there was in Advanta India, we tried something called Idea Scope 1.0. We didn't get a lot of success. We kind of failed at it to large extent. But then we got our learnings and we are back on it and we are saying let's do Idea Scope to 2.0. We are seeing that innovation rate is kind of on the upswing. Our competency levels have gone up. We are clearly having a lot more digital technologies there. We look at agile coverage. I think 4 years back, we were about 22% agile coverage. Today, we are at 78%. I'm just talking about the broadness of coverage. Depthness is a different conversation. We still have work to do there, right? So clearly, that's happening in collaboration. Our ability to engage with external ecosystem and internal ecosystem, not just in R&D, but beyond R&D, as we want to become an impact engine. That's also changing quite well. That's also moving really in good direction. So I'm quite happy with that transformation that we're trying to drive here, because we don't want to be seen as a place that people come only for cost. Period. We want to be a very serious value creators of choice, where people come here for value. Partners come to us for value. We go to partners with a very strong value proposition. That's a transformation that we are driving. Now, in terms of kind of a vision, this is the vision that I just talked about. This is where we need to keep going, right? Are we doing everything to the T? Is everything absolutely perfect? No, not at all. I mean, there are a lot of areas that we need to continue to focus on. But that's the vision. I mean, with about 6,000 people here, right, with the kind of investment Siemens has done, I really think we can add a lot more value from where we are today. And we can continue to build this identity that I'm talking about. That's a transformation that we are in. People should always talk about, when they look at value, they should say, hey, look, why not in India, right? It's about why can't we add the value from India? Of course, I mean, we have great colleagues across the world and globe and all of that, and we want to work together because collaboration is one of the elements that we talked about. But the question is, India shouldn't be a location only for cost. It's really a location, the talent that brings value to the table. I'm really thinking. If you think you're taking a journey as a transformational leader, right? So first of all, it's really about having that progressive mindset. You're constantly thinking, how do I make things better? How do I make things better for my people? How do I make things better for the organization? How do I remove the obstacles? So constantly in that progressive mindset. Second element, I would say, is really about having that healthy courage to stand up for what you believe in. Okay, that's the second one. Third one, I think we already touched upon. That's really about empathizing. Fourth one would be a solid inclusivity. Okay, where you really want to include a lot of new ideas in the mix and decision making. In my experience, I think inclusivity turns to be a blind spot, because in the rush of wanting to move ahead, progressive mindset saying you want to move, you become impatient, and sometimes your inclusivity can take a back seat, and you have to be extremely careful for that. You might think you're being passionate about some topic, but it's not that. It's not a healthy thing. So personally, I think that's a big blind spot. Your inclusivity can take a back seat when you start perceiving yourself to be extremely passionate about transformation, extremely progressive mindset, and start believing in, fall in love with your own ideas, and then you don't take new ideas in the mix because you just want to move ahead. That's a big blind spot.
Comfort zones. So they have also asked.
Comfort zones, wherein you start having such a nice comfort level with your leadership team, and they always say nice things to you, and you're driving back home, and then you must question. You should not play music. You should really question, how can it be nice every day? Because I mean, it happens, right? I mean, and people speak to your role a lot of times. People speak to your position at times, and you have to say, that's just too good to be true. It's too good to be true. So that's the comfort zone. When you work with people for long, you start getting along so well. Uh, at certain point of time, maybe people are not showing you the mirror. People are not challenging you enough, and you start liking it. Who doesn't like to be recognized? Who doesn't like to be said great things all the time? And that's a comfort zone, and you have to remind yourself, shake up yourself. It's too good to be true.
Definitely.
I mean, I think the biggest challenge when again it depends, how long you have spent in the team, right? When you're new in the team, let's say when I was here, let's talk about a very personal chance, right? 4 years back. The first element is start building trust with the team. I mean, why should this team even believe in your vision? Why should they even aspire to want what you want? Correct? It's really about building that trust, correct? Once you have built the trust, then you have, and building a trust is not like you had, two offsites and trust is built. There's no factory for trust, right? It's that you have to keep doing what you said over the time, and then people say, hey, I can trust this guy. So the first thing is you have to trust. Your team trust you. And second is about, is there a trust within the team? Do they trust each other also? Or is everybody thinking, hey, look, you know what, I'm here to succeed only for myself? So I really learned a very interesting line, I think, a few months back. It said, most of us, and I used to be that, and at times I do, even now, the energy goes trying to be best in the team rather than being the best team. And you have to consciously keep looking for those signs in yourself, in your team. Is that happening? That's the number one thing I would say, because we all want to shine, we all want to be recognized. So build the trust and make sure that it's working as one team. Like again, Roland said, one technology company, that one has a meaning wise it's said, because then you all are working as one team together. Once you have that in place, I would say you really have a foundation in place. You really have a foundation, because team is trusting each other and they're all working towards one common goal, one common vision. A lot of forces come together. They don't fire in different directions. They all fire in the same direction.